Well, as you mentioned at the top of the program, you may have a grandparent or a parent and you're questioning their driving skills, and that is a tricky conversation to have. But Greg Charyna is with us today from Homestead Home Care and Elderly Care. And it is a tough conversation to have, and I know that you have a story that relates to this.
Well, an adult daughter in her 40s now recalled or told a story about when she was 10. She remembers her dad having to take away Grandpa's license and just how awful that whole experience was. And flash forward now, she's 45, and her dad, as he thinks about that story, still gets a little weepy, but he came to the place to say, if it ever comes to it, and you feel like I shouldn't be driving or you have concerns, I will listen.
Well, it is such a touchy subject. You talked about this as being, a family with rural connections, and so many people, that is their only way of getting around, especially if they're all alone.
Sure.
And it makes it very tricky in those circumstances. But let's talk about, some of the warning signs, because we won't deal with them in great detail. But there are a number of things you, as a child or a grandchild or just a loved one, can take into consideration. Let's take a look and see what some of these warning signs are.
Sure. I mean, some of them, they can be those dents on the car.
Mystery dents, exactly. It's like, where'd that come from? Oh, somebody hit me in the parking lot. Exactly.
If they can explain it, fair enough.
Sure, but sometimes you wonder. And this is an interesting one, trouble turning to see when you're backing up.
Well, that's about our physical ability. As we age, some things break down a little bit, and if we're not able to turn around or move our head quickly, that can really affect our ability to drive.
Confusing the gas and the brake pedals. We've certainly seen examples of senior drivers maybe like popping into the front of a building because they messed up with the different paddle. Increased irritation, agitation with driving. So stress. They subconsciously may know things aren't as good as they should be.
Yeah, or if they're managing chronic pain like arthritis or anything else like that, that amps up that stress for sure. And
you say bad calls on left-handed turns, not judging how long it's going to take them to get through the intersection.
Well, if our vision is starting to go, we can misjudge, not be able to negotiate that as well as we could.
We'll just quickly go through the next six here, but next five rather. But poor parking, these are all seem like very straightforward things, but they're all good red flags. Delayed reaction, response time, driving the wrongs, riding the brake. I do want to talk about that one because that's certainly it's the overcautiousness when they're driving.
It can be very dangerous because then you end up driving too slow or braking too quickly, and that can lead to an accident.
So how do we broach the subject? How is that done without...
$1 million question. I think when we see these warning signs, we just have to find a way to ask. We've got a few ideas in our office. We're happy to talk with adult children or seniors themselves who are saying, none of my family have talked with me about this. Our research said 95% of seniors have never been approached by their kids or loved ones to say, we have a few concerns. Can we talk about, just your overall health or how you feel about driving these days?
And sometimes without being, like pointing fingers, sometimes, the younger people are going to be a little selfish because they know if they say, I take away your driver's license, you're going to be calling on me to be your taxi cab driver.
And the senior typically doesn't want to be a burden, right? They don't want to have to call family or friends and burden them. So, part of what our work is to help them do that,
Should, we're just going to run a second time here, but it's like one-on-one conversations or maybe a couple of kids or is there...
Depends on the family. Sometimes the unified front of children together saying, Mom, Dad, we love you, we're concerned, we've talked about it, we think that we need to maybe take a look at this, get a checkup, get an evaluation done, make sure things are good.
Yeah, make sure things are good. Let's talk about driving.ca. I thought I changed it, but it's .ca, but some great resource information there. And thank you so much for being here. And we're going to be talking to Greg as the months go along about other issues dealing with seniors. And thanks again for being here today.
My pleasure.
All right, we'd also like to remind you about a couple of other things going on.